every now and then a collector is going to run across one of those toys that they bought either on a whim or because they thought it might be interesting from the look of the photos, and when they actually get it home and actually get it out of the packaging, they realize this is actually really good. This is way better than I expected it to be. That surprise toy that you did not think would be a favorite immediately jumps to the top of your list. It's a great feeling, and for me, this was one of those toys. This is War for Cybertron Megatron. Oh yes. This is based on the very first of the Transformer games, at least the modern Transformer games that High Moon Studios did. This is nice. So we are dealing with a Cybertronian tank that is absolutely no nonsense. There's no frills, there's barely any hiding to this. It's kind of utilitarian, but it also looks absolutely awesome. As a tank, very hefty design, very solid. It's basically just a brick with treads and a gigantic cannon on top. Very rarely have I seen a vehicle mode Megatron, a tank especially, that really kind of invoked the same sense of I'm just a pure weapon that his original vehicle mode did, or even the like Galvatron did as a cannon. This invokes that. This is just a weapon on treads, and it will destroy anything it points at. I love this. So he is cast in an off-white or a light gray plastic, call it what you will, as well as plenty of black. And then you got a lot of red paint going through here, and we'll see more in the actual robot mode. If you look carefully, there's little bits of translucent purple that will be exposed better later on, and a dash of purple there on the top. That's the button for that translucent purple missile, which I can fire out here just to get the missile out of the way. And by out of the way, I mean it fell on the floor. You would think one of these days I would be smart enough to actually put something down that caught these missiles. It's a pretty plain standard missile. You know, I kind of like when the missiles have kind of like a flame effect or kind of like an energy shape to them. The plain missiles just don't really strike the chord that the more creative ones do. But yeah, he is a big, solid tank. At least for a deluxe, he's big. He also has some interesting design features, like, for instance, these little flaps here. I've seen them raised up like that to kind of give like a fin look, like a jet or something. And I've seen them pushed up against the cannon. I kind of prefer that because it looks like it integrates them more. He also has a few details up front, like guns off the side, because when you have a gun that big, you need more guns. Of course you need more guns. Doesn't have one on this side though, but here we have a much nicer view of this kind of claw thing along the front, which kind of gives me a vibe of Armada Megatron. So there's a tiny bit of that in there as well. He also has one extra feature, which is these treads, which they look okay. You know, they are definitely of an alien design, being two little treads, but they do fold under like so, without altering the transformation, which creates a hover tank mode, which is very basic, admittedly, but it's a neat little thing that they included. So I'm at least happy they had the bright idea to think of that. I'm going to get to transforming this guy now because, well, he does have a nice vehicle mode. It's the robot mode I really want you to see. And I can't really show you him rolling because he's on those tiny little wheels that never work. So, unpeg that. Even here, like, you can see the claws a little bit better here. It's just a neat little toy. Alright, so, I will admit, I haven't transformed this one in a while, so it's going to be a little bit slapdash, but it should work out. So first we're going to break this apart and rotate that around just for later. For now, we have to kind of wiggle all of this out. Panels unclip there. I'm going to get these treads folded out of the way just to clear some space. Fold the legs out like so. I'm going to go ahead and fold the feet out now. Those little fin things now fold up to the inside. From here, I'm going to get these hands out. Half of the hand in each tread, and then the whole thing come together to create the forearm. Gonna do that again. 1, and 2, and 3. With that out of the way, we can pull the shoulders out from the main body of the tank. It's on a double hinge, so get those into the correct position. We fold the elbows down now. It looks kind of dumpy and derpy this way. It's actually kind of funny. But go ahead and fold up the head. Fold the chest there. Back itself goes in. It's got kind of. It also has kind of a double hinge to it thing going on. So if I can. There we go. I want to make sure it gets up, and there we go. You want to make sure that these parts get above the top of the shoulders. That's how you know it's right, and that's what's going to create the look you want. And then finish it off by that first piece fitting in there. Now, from here, the cannon can go on either arm, but Megatron is traditionally a righty, so it's going to clip on there. And there goes the missile again. This is why I don't fire off things on camera, because, hey, it's hard to keep track of, and they go off wherever they please when you're not paying attention. You know, that wormhole I keep talking about opening up when you're not expecting a missile to fire. It's gonna get me. So, hey, we got a robot mode Megatron. And man, he looks good. For a deluxe, I mean, especially this was like the early days of our modern generation line. He is nice. Like, I love the proportions on this guy. He's bulky and powerful looking in all the right places. This is a powerful, dangerous looking Megatron in all the right ways. Oh man, this looks so good. Alright, so taking a closer look at the head, it is the traditional bucket-headed Megatron. A little bit of black on the crest and silver on the face. Now he's got a purple translucent window in the back of his head, which would be great, except his eyes are painted red. Now if you've followed my reviews long enough, you know I prefer painted eyes because light piping tends to make the character look dead unless there's a halogen bulb shining through the back of their skull. So yeah, I prefer some nice vivid paint on the eyes, and this one definitely delivers. Got a lot of interesting paint on the chest too. That translucent section painted over very nicely in the red creates this very cool layered effect, and of course very boldly proclaiming himself as a Decepticon. The toy itself is very solid in construction. Everything on him feels like very solid, very bulky, very blocky, and just you don't get toys this solid anymore, which is a crying shame. And you know what? Completely clean too. Like, that's one of the big advantages to Cybertronian modes. The vehicle mode goes into the robot mode so well. It doesn't really have to hide any of these robot parts. The vehicle can just be parts of the robot. And it works out really, really nicely if you're into the aesthetic. So, looking through the toy itself, you see this interesting thing where he's got a lot of red on the right arm, which I kind of like. It's I don't know. It almost kind of reminds me of how like a bowman's armor would only have like one arm guard on it or something. Kind of harken to that, though I can't remember quite if they would have their weapon mounted on that arm. I don't think they did, but hey, it is what it is. That's one of the reasons I like having it on the right arm, is this like big danger arm. The right arm is the danger arm. That's why there's so much red. You also have a lot more of that gray painted in. You can now see little lines of purple going through. Those are those energon lines that were on all the character models in the game, and little pieces of translucent there on the legs. These are inserts, so I have no concern over these pieces of translucency. That's cool. It has a lot of really sharp lines, a lot of hard angles. Very, very dangerous design, as I said. Very imposing look to Megatron. And I like the asymmetry going on, too. Also, if we look on the back, he has a Decepticon symbol molded into his back. That's how hardcore he is. He has a back tattoo of the sigil that he himself created, presumably. Or Soundwave mashed his face into some paint and splattered it on a wall one day. One or the other. But for what it is, yes, he's got a lot of good details. I like him. Alright, so to the articulation. He has a ball joint in the head. Plenty of motion there. You're also going to have a hinge that works to get him a little bit of downward motion if you have a solid Megatron look, or stern, whatever you prefer. The shoulders are universally jointed, a little bit restricted to the out because of the bulk, but no, nothing terrible at least. Let's see, we have a rotation there just above or below the elbow. The elbow itself does go up well beyond the 90, though it is one of those elbows that just has it hinged to the point where it can get awkward looking if it goes too far. Not to worry, there is actually enough junk between the actual shoulder and elbow piece that the elbow itself does not look like it's floating at any point. So that's actually a really nice piece of design work. It's a subtle thing, but it does make the world of difference when you're trying to get a good action pose to look right. So nothing in the wrist because of the way it transformed, but hey, whatever. Nothing in the waist. That's a big solid piece of plastic in there. Universal hips. They work out quite well. Very firm joint. Let's see. We have a knee bend that works quite well thanks to transformation. Bends all the way, and there's a rotation just above it. And we do have an ankle tilt, and on very large feet, that does make him very, very poseable. This is one of the best, like those kind of wide feet are one of the best things you can have on a Megatron like this, because it ensures that big cannon is not going to affect his balance no matter what pose you put him in. And he can get into some really imposing poses in spite of some hindrance in the shoulders. That, my friends, is I keep correcting myself on which game he's from in my head. This is War for Cybertron Megatron. One of my favorite deluxe toys. I'm not going to lie. I absolutely love the look. It's spot on the aesthetic I like a toy to go for. It's powerful looking. It's very imposing. It's what I really, really like out of a Megatron. And this is just a deluxe sized one. Man, imagine if they had Voyagers like they did for Fall of Cybertron. This thing would have been incredible. But I will take what we got, because what we got is actually really, really good.